On this episode of Content Sessions, we talked to Eric Kim about building technology empires, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on, man.
No problem. No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on your guys' new podcast.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the North Report.
Right, North Report.
Super exciting. I was very jealous of your equipment setup.
Yeah, we spent some time because I actually was into a little bit of audio production back in the day, so I had a little bit of research going into it, and found all the budget equipment. So
yeah,
worked out pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah. And so before we kind of get into the business of it, just because I'm kind of addicted to this medium right now, what you just started it maybe like a month ago, the podcast thing?
So we started recording over a month ago actually, but we just launched last week. Right, so this week was our second episode. Actually, just came out today.
Nice.
So we were trying to kind of have a bank queued up like 4 weeks in advance, but the recordings are there. But getting the process of getting everything mastered and getting everything edited, and getting all the assets for the actual album cover and all that stuff, it takes longer.
Yeah.
So we're figuring out it's been about like a 2-week buffer instead. But it's we just kind of got into it from the advice of our sales advisor. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that was more kind of just like putting out more content, having your face and your name on things, getting people to hear the voice.
Yeah, it's actually, came from a little bit from chatting with you as well a little bit, right? It's like that whole idea of providing value. So initially the podcast was meant to be geared towards, it's just speaking to tech entrepreneurs and getting their expertise and their advice in their field, right? So we can kind of provide some content to other founders that don't have that expertise. Like for example, we don't have marketing in-house, which is why we're speaking with you, right?
Right.
We don't have I don't have a sales background. My co-founder doesn't have a sales background, so we engage and we spoke with a sales advisor essentially, right? So like we try to get all these people in that have that can fill in the knowledge gaps for other people and try to get their take on what they do.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And it's fun. And I like the longer form version of it. You take a couple pictures afterwards. I mean, I have with the video, but it makes producing content for the business easier.
I guess so. I mean, with that, because that's the thing, right? With the podcast recording, you kind of get a few more mediums. You can get a few things out of it, right?
Yeah.
You get like tips out of it. You get like a few snippets. You get like great quotes out of it. You get like, oh, here's a list of some software someone mentioned, and you can kind of reuse that in blog posts and like social media everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's.
And then you found a cool program. I had told you about the one called Wave, WAVVE.co, where it's like you can put your audio clips over top of a picture and it shows you the sound waves in a bunch of different ways. Yeah. But you found another one that you said was cool. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah. It's called Headliner. So I looked into Wave. We created a couple of videos from it. Like it worked out great, right? But I just looked it up because they did have Wave does have like a paid tier primarily, right? There's some free audio there, but we weren't sold on it completely. Yeah, not much.
1 minute a month.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So
we weren't completely sold on it. So I did a little bit of research. And Headliner, I think they have like an indefinite free tier for certain features, you know? So I think that's what we're on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm paying like $10 a month for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, with a podcast every week and 2 or 3 snippets with the blurs on it, it goes real fast.
Yeah, right. Like how often do you recycle it when you're doing the promotion for your podcast? Like, do you like often do like a minute clip or 2 minutes of advertising or promotions for that specific episode? Or?
So it depends. So I like to get like a couple 1 minute long that are good for Instagram posts. And then some that like maybe 30 seconds for Instagram stories.
Yeah.
But then if I'm doing one for an ad, I try and find like a 15 to 25 second punch because they don't like the ads to be quite as long.
Right.
And some of them, there's limitations on how long. Like Instagram story ads, I think 30 seconds.
I'm not too sure. I don't do stories that
I can't remember. I don't do a lot of video stories that are ads, so I can't remember either. But there are a bit of a cap on it.
But you know what? I feel like not many people know that because if you look at some of these Instagram story ads, they just cut off. They just suddenly cut off. Like half of them just cut off.
Right.
It's wild.
Yeah, they just let it go, and then the platform maybe cuts it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I want to talk about Quantum Mob. So how old is the business?
So we just turned 3 April 20, like a month of last month, right?
Yeah.
So 3 years. It was definitely a journey to get here. I think like we're very comfortable with where it is now and the growth that we've seen. But that first year was definitely a grind. It's like It was just me and my co-founder essentially trying to grind it out, like out of Starbucks, out of like, you know, our like his home, my home. We're just traveling around, right? And it's just like, it was hard to focus. It was hard to like really know exactly what to do. So that first year was just a learning experience, you know? Like that's all it was, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you guys do primarily mobile apps or website infrastructure?
Our service offering. So what we do is like we do I guess pretty much digital consulting. So we do we're a development shop primarily, right? Like our core service offering, what we're experts at is software development. That includes web and mobile apps, right? So when I say web, I don't mean like landing sites or marketing pages. Unless it's a little bit more dynamic, you know, we need like a database, we need like an API, we need like some back end, like we need those in our apps for us to build it out because that's what we're good at, right?
Right.
And so we don't want to be like you know there's marketing houses that can build out like a landing page or marketing page, right? Yeah. But we do more of the web apps for like enterprise companies or startups, things like that.
Yeah, something with portals and different function.
Exactly. If you think about like imagine what you have like on your phone, like any kind of mobile app, right? If you just translate that to a browser, that's like kind of what we build in the browser, and we build like mobile apps on the phone, like same thing.
Do you find a lot of customers will take both?
Yeah, so they do. Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? A lot of it's about like 50-50 to be honest, right? Some people kind of come in wanting something online like web because it's a little bit more accessible to everybody, right? Yeah. And then mobile apps are a little bit more geared towards, I guess, like a more tech-savvy demographic or a younger demographic, things like that, right? So we have had one client recently that wanted strictly a mobile app. That was like a recent thing. Everyone else wanted either both or
web-based,
right? Yeah. But then turns around, that client emailed me this week saying, "Hey, could you give me a quote on the web now? Like, we want to bring it to the web, right? Yeah. Because launching strictly mobile it's not a bad thing, right? But then you're not covering, like you can cover mobile by having a website because we build everything responsive, right? Yeah, definitely.
And so what's the main type of products that you guys work on? It's obviously whatever kind of customer comes in the door from our conversations, but like who do you work with the most? What type of business?
I think that's changed over our business. So initially it was we were trying to look at more enterprisey, not necessarily from the scale, but from like the technological needs aspect, like things that were regulated, things that like were more around portals and things like that. And then we looked at engaging more startups, and we thought, you know, we wanted to build some cool new products. So we started speaking with startups, and now we're kind of tackling both enterprise and startups, but focusing more in the loyalty space. But that happened more organically, right? Like the customers that came to us, or the clients that came to us from all these other like various industries, like they're in all their industries, like even restaurants, right? Like a restaurant chain would come up to us. Like at one point we were speaking with I guess I shouldn't name names, but like, you know, like a sports related organization, right? Sure. Like everyone needs loyalty. That's the thing. That's like a common thing across all industries, right?
Big industry.
Yeah, and so
it feels very disjointed right now, though. It seems like there's a million different restaurant loyalty things and like ritual and all these ones, and I'm like, where it just feels like, especially in the restaurant space, like they're already struggling with integrating with like Uber Eats and Skip and all these other things to get, you know what I mean? The amount of salespeople that walk into restaurants, crazy.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of need for it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, in the loyalty space, it's been pretty good because there's that need. And plus, we're working with some great partners as well, like some other third party. I guess the third party to us, but they're like really successful companies, right? So they've been working closely with us and our clients, and it's been pretty solid. Like the ecosystem is great, you know? And so I guess we're kind of coming in as like the software vendor, like the guys who build that custom piece or portal, right? Just to name some companies, like we worked with Air Miles recently on a lot of their redemption portals, right? So like some of their merchandise redemption, like their e-vouchers, their perks, and we're going to be working across a few more of their platforms. We also helped AMD out from last year. We're continuing to work with them, and so, you know, like it's been we're getting more into kind of like the enterprisey loyalty side, which is interesting. Yeah.
Got it. Did you think that it was going to go? Was that kind of a plan, or did that just kind of
That's
stumbled in a little
exactly. Like it was wild because what happened was we started kicking up our marketing and our sales efforts pretty heavily last year, right? At one point, and then we saw that kind of was a need in the industry, right? It wasn't like we weren't targeting industries. We tried targeting various industries, but we never at one point said, hey, let's just target loyalty, right?
Right.
We targeted, like, let's say, like the game industry, and they came with loyalty, like a loyalty ask. We target like the restaurant industry that came with a loyalty ask, and like that was like a thing, right?
Yeah.
And then the products that were built out were just happened to actually be like in the loyalty space. It was just luck. I don't know, right? A little bit, right?
Yeah. You just like whatever people ask for.
Yeah.
Like we do work with a couple of hip hop artists that like all they want to know is like, what's the best time to post something, or should I post this, or give me some ideas around this, and like we just text them and give them ideas, and they're happy. Like you kind of make the products as they come.
Yeah, no, definitely, right? It's pretty cool. So I mean, like, you do a lot of work in like various platforms for social media, and I guess like not just social media, marketing platforms, right? And I guess like loyalty or like customer retention is like a big piece of what you do as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's onboarding new clients and everyone else, but also I think I read something recently. It's like they said retention is the new onboarding, right?
Yeah. Well, the cost of acquiring new customers is a nightmare.
Exactly.
And then
right.
getting them in a position, getting them comfortable, making sure they're happy, understanding who they are, and like how to service what they want and what their expectations are.
Right.
So it's a big undertaking every time you bring on somebody new, as you probably know, right? So it's like if there's a natural fit within the customer base that you have, hey, we can also make you this, or we can also do that. It's an easier yes from them. They already trust you. Yeah, I believe that really strongly.
So then if you're doing marketing, right? So like I guess a lot of the efforts that you are involved in pertain to new client onboarding, right? Most of it?
I would say 75% for us.
Okay, and then the rest is kind of like the whole loyalty aspect, right?
Yeah, so we do a lot of like email marketing to existing customer base, or launching new products to the base, depending on the client. But we do depending on the customer as well. Sometimes there's not a lot to say. It's just like it's a pure just like here's a piece of software that you want to use, and so you can drive value around here's what's going on, or here's some interesting stuff, but like it doesn't work for everybody, depending on how boring your product is.
That reminds me of like, so like, once you have customers onboarded onto your platform, I think when you were on our podcast, you spoke about, or you mentioned that you were exposed to this like super hyper dynamically like localized marketing campaign, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that would probably work really well with people that are already on the platform, like especially if they kind of touch like one piece and touch another piece and they kind of went away for a bit, like they get like just like touch points here and there. Do you get involved like in automating some of that kind of stuff to a certain degree?
Yeah, you definitely should automate.
Yeah.
I think the process of trying to manually execute, depending on what level, is a really big challenge. I know, like even just from like a remarketing standpoint, it's like you want to serve an ad to somebody based on 4 or 5 different things that they've done or haven't done within a website, or based on content they've interacted with. So even within the ad spectrum of it, you do want to set up different rules that trigger, because each person needs a custom feeling journey, right? And if you can't deliver that one-on-one, you cannot. If the more intelligently you automate it, the more it feels one-on-one.
Like it's custom, right? I mean, it's you're right. Like you have to automate it intelligently. Like we are involved in some kind of drip marketing a little bit as well, and it's all about having the copy be personable but still be automated, right? And when people receive our emails, I feel like we have some pretty solid marketing emails, and they think it's personal, right? I've had someone ask me like straight up, like, "Hey, did you write this? Because I can't tell." And I responded like, "Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, you are on a campaign right now, but listen, I'm a real person, right? And let's chat now, right?"
And there's always like the more data points you can get from that person, and the more ways that you can tag them in the back end of what you're doing, the easier it becomes to understand what they've interacted with or what they've done. Even just first name, last name makes a big difference when you can address that person by name via correspondence, or instead of like, "Hey, user," or "Hey, sign up, buddy. You know what I mean? If you've got their name, it automatically brings that like, oh crap,
that's true.
You're talking to me.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your growth, because you guys are growing super rapidly right now.
Oh yeah, the growth has been pretty great. I'm just gonna reposition this, but the growth has been going pretty great. Like, so like let's bring it back a little bit, right? So that first year was 2, okay, and then after that we grew to about 6, 7, right, for the next year, and then now we are at 20. We're looking to get like we have 2 more starting in the next couple of weeks, and we're looking to get 2 more. We have to get 2 more in the next month, like month and a half, right?
Got it.
So the growth has been spectacular, but I feel like it's mainly attributed to just figuring out all the other processes that were involved, right? It's like growing our business, we had to learn the space. We had to learn how to do sales, how to do some marketing, right? Because that's what we didn't know, because I'm a developer. My co-founder is a developer. Like we didn't know the first thing when it came to sales. The only thing that I had exposure to was when I developed on Salesforce for a year. I'm like, oh, this is a CRM. And like, okay, there's a dashboard. Here's some reports, like, here's a pipeline. So I understood the concept of a pipeline, but I didn't know what they meant, right? To the stages, like, what's a lead, right?
Right.
So, but that was all the learning phase. And like our sales advisor helped us.
How did you, sorry, but just before you go past that, how did you guys dive into that learning curve? Like, was it just like YouTube, or you talked to people?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like that's what it is, right? Because so developers, this is like everyone knows. At least developers know this, right? Like developers, we're just really good at Googling stuff, right? Like seriously, that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
It's about like you're stuck on a problem, you're at home, you just like Google it 10 different ways, and you click 10 different links, and this is probably, I'll try this. No, that didn't work, I'll try this, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. So you look at all the top developers, they just spend a ton of time Googling. They know how to research.
Yeah.
That's why they're good at what they do. So I mean, when we approach sales, we just researched a ton of articles, a ton of different links, and how to do things 10 different ways. Yeah. And then we just
figured out the best one. Or what was the most consistent message that you received, and then move forward with that?
When it came to sales?
Yeah, like, I mean, you read 10 things, and well, 3 of them said something similar, and this sounds right. So let's do it.
I mean, I guess the consistent thing when it came to sales was like just reach out, don't be afraid that like people are going to be annoyed, or that like don't be afraid that like I mean, sales rejection in the beginning was like we had a big meeting. We're like, oh, gotta like push pretty far, and it's like the client said no. We're like, oh, we really thought we were gonna close this guy, and it didn't happen, and it was like disheartening. But now it's like it's nothing, right? It's a numbers game, but it's about like you try to build that relationship, but then there could be various reasons why it falls off, and you can't be disheartened by anything like that. Yeah, and that was like something that we learned. We also learned that like you have to do a ton of follow up. Like follow up is key, right? Yeah. I think we read a statistic. Initially, we read that you have to have like 8 touch points sometimes before someone responds, or you have to have like 20 touch points before you close a sale. And initially, we were like, that's wild. That's way too many touch points, right?
No one wants to talk to me that many times.
Exactly. But it's natural. Now we understand it because we've been through it, right? Yeah.
So, and I would imagine your conversion rate in the last year has skyrocketed because of different things.
Our conversion rate actually, it hasn't been bad. I wouldn't say that the conversion rate has gotten better, right? Yeah. But it's something that we do need to work on a little bit more, because it comes down to the marketing, right? Yeah. When it comes like strictly from a sales side, we've been working on fixing every part of the pipe, right? Get some like solid warm leads, like well informed to a certain degree. We've been picking up content marketing a little bit more in the past couple months, right?
Good.
That's
the most important.
Yeah, right. That's what you keep saying as well. It's like that long form content, right? I think that like you're right on that aspect. What we should do is kind of slow it down a little bit more, but provide more insightful articles that provide more value, right? Versus, hey, we need an article out this week. Like, what are we going to write about, right? Yeah. Like, let's write something, right? Yeah.
So what would you say the activity is that has maintained? So obviously the scale of leads and the scale of people you're talking to has gone up. So even if the conversion rate hasn't gone up, if it's maintained with an increase in number of leads, that's still good.
No, well, the conversion has gone up, right? Yeah. It's gone up because we've gotten better at doing each part of the process. But like, they're not at a point where, first of all, I'm not easy to please when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? But like, it's good, but like I'm not completely satisfied with it is what I kind of mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but what do you think is the most impactful process or action that you've implemented to increase it or to maintain it? Like, what do you feel is the thing that you guys have done that you're like, I think this is the thing that's kept us or increased us?
Yeah, I think so. We kind of engaged on everything except for paid advertising, essentially, right? We've tried various things. We've tried paid advertising as an experiment.
Yeah.
And then when we didn't see the conversions, maybe because it was like a really dumb campaign that we tried to run that didn't really have a goal, right? We just wanted to see the interaction. We dropped maybe $1,000 in a week just to see how it performed, and it was pretty terrible, so we just cut it off there, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we need an expert, but that's like kind of down the road, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so, you know what? I have ADD. What were we talking about?
No. I was saying the action that you guys took that you felt brought the best retention and increase.
While there could be like a specific set of things, I think it kind of came down to engaging our sales advisor, who did encourage us to experiment with various marketing tactics or strategies and like going on different platforms, right? So that helped us kind of figure out exactly what worked, right? In the end, what worked was a lot of emailing, but so like the thing is, referrals are always the best, right? Referrals and inbound are always the highest conversion. They were referred by someone who knows that you're an expert and knows that you can deliver, right? So they come in like very warm, but at the same time, doing some kind of advertising, right, on sites that are relevant to your business has worked really well for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the sites that you guys have focused on?
There's some kind of directories basically for various for each industry, right? So here's the secret. Okay, I actually read this in like the first year of the business. I heard about it in a podcast, right? I was listening to a lot of podcasts back then. And someone mentioned, hey, here's a way to hack SEO, right? Like you can try and spend a ton of money to try to improve your site's SEO, write blogs, do all this kind of stuff, and to get to the first page for something like a very common search term, right? Like if I searched web developer, you think that, like how am I supposed to, like there's
how are you going to compete with that? There's so many people.
And you have to be extremely active, and to do that yourself, that kind of investment is crazy, right? But what you can do is, if you look at the first page, there's generally sites that you can go to that are not like your competitors, right? So you can try to get on that site somehow so that you're still listed on the first page in some way, whether you're advertising on that site or whether you get an article written about you on that site or in some way, and then that's a way to hack SEO, and that's kind of what helped us hack SEO. Yeah, and it's worked well for us.
Good.
Yeah.
And so and I love that idea. There's actually a guy on Fiverr that we use that whenever we like launch a new like whatever. Now they're not like always the most relevant, but he actually manually uploads into 100 directories. So there's like 100 links and touch points back to the site.
Right.
I think he charges like $15 $15.
Oh,
he gives you, he provides you with like the logins for each one.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a good start. It's a good like little push.
Right.
But I think you're right. If you're picking the kind of top 10 keywords you need to rank for, and then trying to get on the pages that are obviously there because that's a high volume of search, it makes a lot of sense. And so right now, so if you're on say 5 different ones, are you getting leads through the forms that are on those directories, or are they coming to the website? How are you tracking, kind of measuring right now?
So we use UTM tags, I guess, like those marketing tags.
Yeah.
We have it on everywhere. I haven't gone and looked at the analytics, like Google Analytics, in a long time, but to really narrow it down. But there has been a significant amount of traffic that has come in through those websites, right? That ultimately converted. And then once we actually engage a lead that's inbound, right, and we get to a certain point where we're running discovery sessions and we're trying to understand the client's needs and problems and see if we can address them, right? See if there's a good fit. We actually ask them like, hey, so how did you hear about us, right? It's like it's an important thing to know, right?
Absolutely.
So you can kind of double down on that area that works really well, right? And experiment elsewhere.
The human error part of that's a challenge though, because it's like, oh, I found you on Google. You're like, okay, was it an ad on Google, or did you Google and go into a directory? Like,
that's true.
Some people know, and a lot of people just like, I don't know. Because we actually have been using WhatsApp like for people that will ping us via WhatsApp instead of like filling out our form.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting layer of like, oh, I get on the phone. How'd you hear about it? Oh, I found you on Google. Yeah. You're like, cool. Like, what was the keyword? Was it an ad? Was it organic? Because we've actually been doing a bit of an organic push. Yeah. And we've actually landed some really good leads like in Chicago and stuff from just like, so because social media training is not that common.
Yeah.
There's schools that offer it, and but training employees is different.
Right.
So we kind of have a niche set of keywords that are really helpful.
Okay.
I wonder if you guys could play in a space that's like, reward app based keywords on Google, being that you have the case studies and a client base already.
Right.
I wonder if there's a way that you guys could fuck around with ranking with that if people are looking specifically for that.
I guess so. I mean, we haven't really explored keywords too much. Like I know about the tools that are out there to help you target the keywords in your industry, like to help you figure out what you need to what you need to place for, what you need to sponsor, and those kind of things. But we haven't we actually just haven't sat down and tried to spend time in it. I think that's a step. So like we're getting 2 marketing interns. I think they'll help us explore that. Right. It might make sense for us. It might not in the end, but because we have conversations with other people in the industry. We ask them, okay, so like what works for you guys, right? Yeah. By far the majority is like inbound and referrals, right? Mm-hmm. Great content, get inbound, get referrals. And we're like, nobody did any outbound. Yep. But we're like, oh, well, maybe let's try outbound then. Yeah. Right? I don't know.
But there is something to be said for going against what everybody's doing. Like, but how do I know that you guys are doing well in the business? How do I know that this is even working for you?
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, I like to understand what people are doing, but I try not to follow it too much because it's like I have a feel for what I would think. Yeah. Because I know, I understand the people that buy from us, and I'm sure you understand the people that buy from you. So it's like reverse engineering where they spend their time, what they care about, right? That's kind of that's always my map. Right. Buyer persona, where they spend the time, their pain points, and then, okay, what can I create to solve their pain points? Right. And how do I get that in front of them, whether it's via ad or organic listing stuff somewhere. I think the whole thing with the buyer persona is I feel like it's a very relevant exercise when you have a product, when you're like, okay, well, here's what we're selling, here's who we're selling to, and you can really build up this profile. There's a common profile, but I think when you're providing services, do you feel like your buyer persona has been narrowed down, or do you feel like sometimes it's very broad? Because to answer that question, and this is actually a really important factor with marketing. Yeah. It is very broad. Right. But you have to consolidate efforts based on that target and then exhaust that persona and then move to a different thing. Okay. So even though my services are wide, I'm positioned. So right now I'm looking at consumer packaged goods brands. Yeah. So Smarties and this type of thing. Obviously not companies that are that large because they won't have us in. Right. But I know that those types of companies have a lot of interesting products. Yeah. Right. That you can take different pictures of. It's not a service, so there's obviously product to take pictures of. Mm-hmm. They know the importance of social media, and they're probably either using an agency or trying to do something in-house. And I know that I can solve their pain point. Now I can do that for an artist or a roofer or this or that. So, but what I am going to do is while I'm running a campaign around marketing is I've crafted case studies based on that very specific niche. Right. And I've written content to that niche and that persona. Now I might not have that as general content on my blog, right? But it might be landing pages or pages that only they would see. So I might say, hey, these customers spend time on a group like this on LinkedIn. So I'm going to dump valuable content on LinkedIn in those groups. Right. So just try and drive people back. But where I'm going to drive them to is a landing page that shows, see how we did this for this company. And then that conversation goes down because they need to. So broad doesn't ever help you sell. Yeah. Right. And so I do strongly believe in a content funnel that's really niche content that goes to landing pages on your site. And you can have it on the blogs as well. Right. But I think, when you're thinking about from a campaign perspective, I would do that until you're cool, now we've talked to every single person in North America that deals with that, or people didn't respond, or it's going well, keep going. And then once that's kind of exhausted, then we start a campaign around some other niche or some other whatever. Okay. So your offering can be broad, but I think you should consider your marketing content going really, really, really narrow, because the conversion rate goes higher when it's niche.
Right.
And then you go through that niche, or you say, once we get to 10 customers in that niche, we'll move on, or however you kind of plan that out.
Interesting. Yeah. Because like, so we tried experimenting with that to a certain degree as well. But what we found was that, I mean, the problem here is creating that content. It's like, it's very time intensive to create engaging content and relevant content that makes sense for them. Right. I guess it's a little bit of research that's required there. Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, if we were to, for example, we're talking with a few CPG corporations as well. Right. And it was kind of like had like either introduction or something similar like that.
Right.
And we considered, hey, so, I think, for example, there's like XYZ is a huge need in the CPG space, right? Maybe we should create a campaign around that. But then you're looking at creating like maybe blog articles, maybe not. So you don't do it yourself, but maybe blog articles, maybe something around case studies, maybe about like creating sponsored like ads and creatives and all that kind of stuff. It's like it takes some time to generate this campaign,
to develop it. But I think where a lot of people without the in-depth marketing experience see that and they're like, shit, I need to write so many things for this. I got to give them 10 blog articles and 10 videos and this huge funnel of stuff, but it's actually not true. So I would say, and what I've had experience with, is we would write a case study or two and a long form piece of content or two. And that could be maybe one video, one post, whatever, because to get people engaged in the conversation with you, where your touch points are personal now, they've opted in or they've got in contact with you, right? After the first, say, 4 touch points, they're either going to be with you directly as a lead, or you're probably not going to get them. So what I would say is, if you have 2 or 3 really strong pieces of content marketing and then 2 really strong case studies, then that's usually enough. It's like you put that, and here's the thing. It's like, if you've got this really, really great piece that, what we've talked about before, but like making sure that it doesn't require you to be the answer to the problem, right? Just like something super helpful that will help someone in that space. If you spend the time distributing it everywhere you could possibly distribute it, then you probably won't need that other piece of content if you spend the amount of time required to get it out to the amount of people. So that's going through a ton of groups on LinkedIn, going through a ton of groups on Facebook. If you've got, say it's you had to do like graphic design for real estate, right? And you write a piece of content about that, like emailing every brokerage in Canada and the US, being like, hey, we made this great piece. If it's consumer packaged goods company, it's like finding them on LinkedIn and sending that directly to them. Then it's hand-to-hand combat rather than volume of content. Right. So if you put it up once on LinkedIn and once on Facebook and then you boost it once, it's like, cool. How many people saw it? 3,000. How many people could see it? 30. You just need to work more to get it out. So you don't need much content. You need a couple really high quality pieces, and then you got to spend the time getting them to the places they need to be. And I use a combination of ads and organic and posting them and sending them direct to people and that kind of stuff. Cool. But you don't need too much.
Do you like, what platforms do you typically target for your ads? Like, because I'm asking because we experimented with various platforms. Like with LinkedIn, you can get really targeted to the title, right? To the very specific title. But I find either they're not performant or it's just super pricey, right?
Yes. So there's 2 things with LinkedIn. These are very secret sauce things. Okay. Number 1 is case studies work better on LinkedIn than anything else. So not, hey, do you need this for your business? Because that's easy to pass by. But if I'm a decision maker in a company that could use that product, if you're like, see what we did for X, so you can target people by job title and industry as an open-ended thing. But you could also target people that like work for very specific companies. Like you could get a list of 150 companies that you want to target their employees, then narrow it down by the decision makers, and then run a case study of like something you did for a competitor. see how we did this for
right.
X. And then they're like, oh shit, like this company has that thing, like we got to get caught up.
Right.
You create that sense of urgency, but display what it did for the business, not like, hey, we'll make something for you.
Right.
Yeah, everyone will make something for me.
You're just creating that.
But if you create that dream for them, that like vision of like, this is what we could have, that works better on LinkedIn.
True. Okay.
And so I would think about keeping your audience target, the number really, really low, but like really think about if it's a case study, who would care about it? So targeting at job title would be decision maker in a company size X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
But almost choosing companies to then layer on top of that requires a little bit more research up front, but your money will go further because that audience of say 5,000 is more impactful than the audience of 75,000 if those people know the company you're going to put a case study up about.
True. Yeah.
Right? Then it gives them something to aspire to.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Does that make sense?
No, it makes complete sense. I think like, well, we try to, so we've tackled bits and pieces of this, right?
Yes.
So we've done like case study ad. We've done like, talking about something that happened in this company. We talked about targeting, or we've targeted like certain industries down to like 3,000 people, right? But it still didn't perform like we wanted to. I guess there's fine tuning. Well, that's where your expertise would come in, right? Like you would actually apply your knowledge and experiment to find out what exactly works, right?
Right. And so what I would do is like, okay, cool. You had a certain amount of people that interacted with that ad. Now remarket. Now where can we find them, right? Once we got them there, we can serve them shit on YouTube and on Instagram, and we can chase them around the internet forever.
True.
The other thing with LinkedIn being that it's very expensive.
You don't have to say.
No, I will.
Super secret sauce.
No, I don't mind about the secret sauce. I just don't want LinkedIn to find out.
No. I think you should save it. I think you should maybe, if you want to talk about it.
You know what? I've already said it on another podcast. Fuck it. I just hope they don't find the glitch.
Right.
So when you set up a campaign and you're in the process of targeting, it sets you up with a budget where it's like you have to bid between X and X. Right? So I did a campaign for targeting doctors, and it was like you have to bid starting at like $14 a click to $35 a click, and I was like, fuck, that sucks. Or you can bid by cost per thousand, right? By CPM.
Right.
But once you turn on a campaign, and it gets the first click, you can then go back and edit the campaign,
right?
And then reset the bid to whatever you want.
Yeah. But what is that? Like to whatever you want? What does that mean exactly?
I set it at $4.50.
So what if you just set it to like 50 cents?
You'd never get a click. You would never serve to anybody ever.
Right. Okay.
Because at that point, like, so even at $4, you're almost going after a remnant, but you're only paying $4 a click.
Right.
So you might only get like 1 or 2 clicks in a day, but like at least
super cheap.
Then you just let the campaign run for longer.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, no, LinkedIn's crazy because it's not a marketplace. They just dictate the price, and then they're like, cool. Whereas like Facebook and Instagram and Google are all
you bid essentially, right?
Yeah, and so it makes the pricing a little bit more honest. But LinkedIn's got it right, man. In their, not from a marketing standpoint, it sucks for us. Right. But from a standpoint of like they just pick their pricing and then you deal with it. And we're like, well, we'll deal with it because it's a good platform.
That's
true.
Check
it up.
Speaking of social networks, let's see before you can get into your next question. Like, what is the next secret advertising social network right now? Is there one?
No.
Nothing on the horizon.
I would say based on the reach that we get with LinkedIn right now, not even just ads, but LinkedIn. So using a tool that finds people with whatever job title and like looks at their profile, and then you go invite them to. Have you seen something like that? Like what is it called? Hey, there's something. Hey Eddie, or I can't remember. But you basically say like go and search for people that. So the same way with the ads, right? Job size, job title, seniority, male, female, age. And then it would go and like either invite them to connect with you or go view their profile. And then if they view you back, you invite them to connect. So just building your network with automation and then publishing that content, because then you don't have to pay to get it out. So, and the way I would do that is like, and I'm actually funny, I'm in the process of building that campaign. I'm going to like record my own case study of how it works. And so I'm going to try and like increase my number of connections by like 2,000 in a month or something. I haven't figured out how I'm going to plan the numbers yet, but using a tool like that where you can grow it, where you're not ever. So here's the mistake that people make on LinkedIn. And I get infinite amounts of connection requests that just have like an automated message that pops up as soon as, hey, Mike, we're the premier company that does this. And you're like, fuck off.
Yeah. Instant spam,
right
just
off.
ignore.
I would never interact with it.
Yeah.
But if I had something where it's like, hey, whatever the name is, and this tool can automate by first name. It's like, like it sets up, like you can say, hi, Lori, hi, whatever. It does it automatically. Just looking to connect with some cool and interesting people in the industry. Love to connect on LinkedIn if you're into it. So then it's like, oh, you just a friendly, I want to connect.
Right.
And then you never send them that DM that's like, hey, come and buy that thing. You don't need to, because your organic reach of content on LinkedIn is really far.
Right.
So if you can get that network up really, really high, there's a big pool of people that are going to see what you're posting. And if you put up articles and, the podcast, we will write an article about the podcast, show notes, and then a link out to it as a post on LinkedIn. And now that whole network's going to see it. And right now, a lot of people, like a high percentage of people see it. So for example, if we're connected and you like something of mine, your network sees that you like something of mine. So like the reach, the potential reach is exponential.
Right.
So commenting and getting comments and likes on content on LinkedIn right now can be like a huge
that's
force.
what stuff goes viral on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
You see some random post that has like 10,000 likes, and it's like, well, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like a lot of what people click on LinkedIn is like all this like motivational, flowery kind of stuff that gets like, those are the stuff that go viral, right? But it's the same pretty much.
You don't need it to go viral,
right?
You need you only have an audience of X.
No,
and if they're living in your world and then you're publishing interesting stuff, like I think even the podcast, right? Like if you're bringing on guests that are relevant to your potential customer, which is my recommendation. Like I service small to mid-size, right? We do either training or marketing. So having people that own small to mid-sized businesses and talking about their problems and helping them go through a couple things, like that's perfect content for the audience of people that I want to hire me to do stuff.
True. Yeah.
Right. And so maybe, and so I would say, like, from the LinkedIn standpoint, you're already publishing blogs and you're already publishing the podcast. Right. So just building a bigger following on LinkedIn and then publishing content regularly on there, it will have a big effect.
We're trying to do that, but I guess we just gotta build up the following for these actual page websites independently, right? Like, I have a large network, like my co-founder has a large network, like some our salespeople have a large network, right? But it's, I guess, like we just need to be actively sharing things a little bit more.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, so growing your company's followers on LinkedIn is really tough because you can't do articles, you can only do posts.
Right.
And like nobody wants to follow a company. Nobody gives a shit.
No, it's true. It's true.
But what you could do is if you if you have a couple like really solid, one solid piece of content a week that's going to go out, have everybody post that content, and then like have it either point to an article on the website to drive traffic there, or if you want to build up the following of the LinkedIn, like the business profile, like, hey, make sure you follow Quantum Bob's link and link it back out to there for like up and coming cool content.
Right.
But I would have every employee, and I recommended this to a charity that I was working with, like, everybody on your LinkedIn should be posting all the same shit. Right. Like when there's a thing that goes out, it's like, hey, see what we did. Yeah. Because then it's an employee sharing the employer's thing. Right. You're not pretending like I wrote this and then the same people or different people writing the same thing. Right. Be open about, hey, we're promoting something from the company.
Yeah, yeah.
And then because that will ring in.
That's true.
Some eyeballs as well.
I have a question. So I have a question for you. This is a little bit unrelated, right? Yeah. So like you have these all these ideas about how to like do things and market on these different networks, right? But a lot of it's manual work, right? Do you have ideas about automating certain parts of like this marketing? Like so there's some super time intensive stuff probably that you would like to automate, right?
Yeah.
Like
to an extent you can, to an extent you can't.
Right.
So I would say, using a social media scheduling tool that publishes each piece, and each one has to be written differently for each platform.
Right. Okay.
But like if I use, like we use, the hell do we use? I don't post anything on ours.
I use Buffer.
Buffer's not bad. HubSpot. We use, it'll come to me.
Okay.
But yeah. So we'll plan like a month at a time and publish all the content for all the LinkedIn posts, all of this. Right. And we have it like locked and loaded so that that all goes out on its own. So that saves us time.
Right.
But no, honestly, the distribution is just manually going through and distributing. We do use one thing where you kind of buy ads on it. So it's called Q.
Okay.
But it's like QUUU.
Oh, I remember this. It was I think I used to use it a while ago, but yeah, it's where people post relevant stuff to what they're interested in or what they want to be known for. Yeah. Right.
And then Q, you buy like credits to it and it blasts it out. Like we get a shitload of traffic from that.
Oh yeah.
It's and it's cheap.
Oh, okay.
And now actually it's been getting better, I would say. Originally we were getting a huge surge of traffic, but it was all like 3-second visits.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay.
High bounce rates basically.
We've noticed that's probably quadrupled the time on site. It's not super, super high, but it's good for like getting eyeballs. What I recommend is when you're doing that, using something that gives you a trackable link or having the Facebook pixel and Google ID on your website. So you're capturing audience.
You can retarget a little bit.
Right. Because if I've seen it and I'm interested enough, I may have clicked it by accident and then that's a useless person. But it's supposedly putting it out to people that are in a certain category or looking for certain types of content.
Yeah.
So even if they accidentally click it, it probably wouldn't have been served to them unless it was somewhat relevant. So if you've got the Google Analytics code with the remarketing turned on, as well as the Facebook and Instagram with the pixel and LinkedIn with its tracking code, then you can take that site traffic and then remarket to them with ads. That's true. Spend very little on remarketing ads. Yeah. Right? Like a couple bucks a day. Okay. Just to like send them the next layer of content or like, hey, the next podcast is out and try and drive them to follow your pages. I mean, having them follow your page or join an email list is always the best because then it's free communication from here on out. Okay. But it's hard. Like building an email list, like you got to be putting out regular, really good content. And that's a whole undertaking.
I think the email list, that's like, that's difficult. That has been difficult for us to build up. So here's the thing. We started a blog very early in, right? And so what we found worked well. So initially we just wrote strictly about development, like our expertise in development, right? In software development. So we wrote about like certain technologies. We wrote about like, certain trends in the industry. We wrote about like guides on how to do certain, use certain tools or abide by certain standards and things like that, right? The only traffic that we got were developers, right?
Yeah, but think about the content you were writing.
Yeah, the content.
It was only written for developers.
Of course, you're right. But at the same time, what we found was that we had like almost no click-through to like the contact page from all this traffic, right? Because it's just consuming information, right?
Did you have a jobs tab? I bet you got a bunch of clicks to that.
No, well, we did it at the time, but I think
if you did, that's where it would have gone.
Right. Like for us right now, we're marketing on two aspects, right? Like we gotta, because it's always like services you're juggling, like if you're trying to scale, like you have jobs, you're hiring, and you're selling. So that's like both the marketing that we're trying to do, right? And I guess now it's like a mix of content, right?
Yeah. Sure, go ahead.
Oh yeah, okay, no, right, but so like what we found that worked really well, earlier, like in 2016 when we wrote these blog articles, we heavily distributed them, right? The distribution was wildly successful in comparison to what we're doing now. Yeah. Whereas now we're writing more relevant content to our audience, right? But the distribution isn't there because there's a ton of developer-friendly websites to promote ideas or to promote articles and things like that. So the distribution, I don't know what you would call it, like the structure, the support is there, but not for some of the articles that we're writing now, right? And I hear that you have to put in like 2 times the amount of effort in distributing content than writing it,
Yeah. 10 times.
Yeah, 10 times. Right.
Yeah. But that should also speak to the volume, right? Couple good pieces of content, and then spend all the time distributing it. Right. Yeah. But then I would and I think you kind of answered your own part of it. Like when you're writing stuff that's like industry helpful stuff, it's like the only people that care about it are developers. If I was a business owner, I would never read anything like that. Right. But if you were to write stuff about how you know, how a reward system can impact your business, and like do like a longer form thing with some stats, and even write some things that are like, hey, here's some like free tools on the internet that you can use to like test the waters that type of thing. Then you've got the ball rolling, and I'm thinking about rewards. I'm going to test those free softwares online, and I'm going to be like, they're shit.
Yeah.
Oh, but remember, these are the guys that make this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think about it from that perspective, right? Like, give them something where they can taste. And you might have small companies that like, yeah, I used your little guide of how to activate rewards programs, or how to bring back customers over and over. And you'll have some people that'll be like, great, and now all I needed was this $25 piece of software.
Right.
But it'll stumble into the right hands if you're writing that type of content.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. You pretty much nailed it, because we're not looking for the clients that are looking to spend $25 per month on a certain platform, right? We're looking for people that want like turnkey solutions, like custom made solutions for their business, because it's so specific, and they're losing money if they don't have it very highly specialized, right? So, but
what you will find is the people that need that solution don't want that solution.
Yeah. Okay. What do you mean by that?
Well, they don't want to spend that money. If I can find, if I can find something that's $100 a month, versus $100,000 build, I'm fucking all over that.
Okay, yeah, that if it solves all your problems,
but it doesn't exist is the key.
Right.
So if you're the helping hand that's like, hey, here's the top softwares that are under $100 that do this type of thing, they're going to be like, oh shit, like this is going to be the thing now.
Yeah.
And then they go in and they use it for 2 months, and then they're like, oh, well, it doesn't do this, and oh, this is a pain in the ass, or oh, this feature doesn't exist, or we can't do this, we can't do that. You know what? I think we actually need something better. Because once you've exhausted all the apps that sucked, then you guys are the answer, and you guys provided that like baseline, but you showed them there are some things. Let them experience those failures on their own,
right? And
then you're the guy that tried to help them for the cheap.
Yeah.
But then they'll come spend money with you. When they realize they have to spend money, then they'll be more comfortable spending it with you, because you were the resource that tried to help them out and get them the cheap thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole, it comes back to the providing value, right? I mean, I'm going to keep saying that.
Yeah,
it's
good.
No, it's great. It's great.
One thing, just random kind of thought with the hiring thing, on all of your employees and your businesses, LinkedIn, and on your like business Facebook and your business Instagram profile, do you write "we're hiring" everywhere?
I have that in my tag. You know, on LinkedIn.
Do you have it like on your Facebook banner, or even like company name brackets? Do you have it everywhere?
We don't have it everywhere.
Put it everywhere.
Yeah, we should put it everywhere. Yeah.
Because especially if you're driving any attention. I would.
Yeah.
We're hiring. I would put it everywhere. Yeah.
That's true. No, we should be. We just it's a balance though, because we're trying to say that we're hiring, but hey, also here are our services. Like here are some case studies. Here's what we can do for your company. Here's some value that we can provide, right? Yeah,
but splashing high ticket price items into like the Facebook banner, it's not going to work anyway.
Right. No, that's true. Okay.
But no, I found for hiring, that's just kind of making sure it's written on like the first visual of all your social things. It'll just help bring names into the fold for you.
I feel like so what we found also is talking about hiring versus selling and marketing those independently, right? We found that the social media platforms themselves are kind of dictating the audience, right? Like, for example, I don't think that we're going to get a lot of, I think, okay, well, for example, for instance, buyers might look at our Instagram and be like, oh, what's happening here, right? They're going to see a ton of events that we're doing. They're going to see that we're all like friendly faces, that we're in Toronto, that we're doing events, that we're hiring experts, we're doing these launches, etc. But that content on Instagram is more geared towards developers, right? It's because like it's more about like, oh, it's more of a friendly or a social kind of platform versus LinkedIn is strictly, I don't know, it's weird to say that. It's like obviously people hire off LinkedIn, but we look at it as more of a like a business establishing, like networking kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it is. And you have to be respectful of what people expect on each platform.
Yeah.
Right? That's why like a lot of people struggle doing Instagram ads versus Facebook ads. Because some people aren't used to being sold to on Instagram. So if it's not really like content based, it's something funny or entertaining. Like if it's just like, yo, here's a product, come get it. It's like, it's not going to work as well. But Facebook, it will work easier because I'm just used to people selling me shit on Facebook now. So yeah, being cognizant of that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if your general audience is going to be developers from the Instagram side, then make it more like here's all the fun stuff that's going on. Here's the behind the scenes of our office, so they can get an idea of like, oh, this would be a cool place to work. They guys have a personality. It seems like people enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And tell the story of how you guys are enjoying yourself, right?
Yeah, that's
Take
true.
pictures of your team playing ping pong, whatever, and publish that mostly because that's not going to deter somebody who's a buyer who finds you on Instagram because it's like you come on. It has a thing. It says we're hiring, and they're like, "Oh, they must be growing if they're hiring. That's good."
Right.
Oh, and it looks like these guys have a good time, and they have a big team, and they have a big office. Like you're showing off all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're still going to be attracted to it, but you don't necessarily have to produce content for them.
Right.
If you're finding that it's mostly developers that are taking you on within Instagram.
Yeah.
So I don't think it hurts you.
Does it then? So do you, like in your campaigns and the campaigns that you run? Do you separate? I mean, you probably do separate it out, but like, to what degree do you customize the content to each platform? You know, like, do you repost the exact same thing across all the platforms?
Never.
Okay.
No, and even if it's the same picture, the copy's different.
Right.
There's a different cadence to the language and a different whatever.
Yeah.
Not always, but if we're talking about campaigns, then absolutely. So and so knowing the psychology of somebody that's on LinkedIn versus someone who's on Facebook versus someone who's on YouTube versus someone who's on whatever.
Would you say that's an expectation or like demographic difference?
I would say expectation.
Okay.
You will see demographic differences.
Yeah.
But I think you can also then, so if you're talking in the context of ads,
Right.
you can then make 3 different videos, one that's 25 to 35, one that's 35 to 45, one that's 45 to 55 if you want.
Right.
Referencing something else or talking about a company that you worked with that's more known to that generation, right? Like Air Miles is a client of yours, right?
Yeah.
And so I would say if you're targeting business owners that are like under 35, they might not give a shit about Air Miles. But 45 plus, they're probably very familiar with it and they've been in that.
Right.
So
That's true.
so someone's been on the site and you're gonna retarget them with a YouTube ad or an ad on Facebook, and it's gonna be a video that talks about, hey, we did this. Like maybe it's a case study or a testimonial kind of video, right? You would have one video that showcases the younger feeling company, and so what you'll do is you'll have a audience of 1,000 people that were on the website. So when you go make the ad, you're like, cool. If they were on the website and they're under 45, give them this video. If they were on the website and they're over 45, give them this. So creating content that's unique to that demographic.
Yeah.
Because you have the capabilities to target based on all of those attributes. So it's just making content that's slightly different to hit the demographics that you want.
Everything that you're that's you're sounds like it's so much work to get going, right?
It's not.
But I mean, like it would be for us initially at least. But that's that's where we're not the marketing experts, basically.
But you can do it in like a really scrappy way, right?
Yeah.
So we use this ring light.
Yeah.
And then I'll sit this up and I'll sit a microphone. And so we did an ad that was for we made a content calendar, like a master calendar, and it's this big PDF with like 250 events of all different things that happen throughout the year. So if you're producing content, if you own a business that needs ideas for social media, you can just look at each month and you're like, oh, we can write about this or this or this, and it's like a resource.
Right.
So what we'll do is we'll put the camera over there and I'll record one that's like, hey, content creators, da 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 da. Click the link to get the thing. And I'll say, hey, content creators, da 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 da. Swipe up to get the thing. That's going to be the Instagram story ad.
Right.
But I'm recording them just one after another.
Yeah.
And then we would say like, hey, not like, so content creators might be one. Who else are we targeting?
Right.
Business owner, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll just record like 6 in a row.
Just
all. And then they don't have to be like, the thing is they don't have to be highly produced commercials. You can just talk to the camera at a normal pace because if they've interacted with your brand, if they've come to you in the first place, it's nice to just be like, feels like a friendly, like I'm talking to someone in their living room. Yeah. It's less off-putting than like, hey, like some big crazy thing or like, a TV. True. Like if you try and put a TV commercial as the remarketing, it's like, it's not going to be as effective as opposed to like, hey, CPG brands, like, I saw that you were on our website.
Yeah.
And da 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 da.
Oh, that's interesting. Then you're talking at them, like you're talking to them,
Yeah.
right? It's like you're a person that shows up in an ad, like, hey, you were on my site. Like, I know that you were there. Are you still interested? Like, yeah,
and so,
that's wild.
And so here's the layer. Hey, I saw you were on our site, taking a look at what we do. I know software is a big thing to commit to.
Right.
And like I understand that da 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 da. Like talk to their pain points. You know what they're anxious or stressed or worried about from talking to you.
Yeah.
So I know that this process can be this and this and this. So you're now easing, right?
That's
then
true.
you can say, hey, we created this really cool guide to how to like pick a software company. It has nothing to do with us. It's just something we've put together that really helps.
Completely non-biased, right?
No, and if you can write the content that's unbiased like that, then that. So then you're like, so now they've been on the website for some reason. Now they've got your face, your visual. You've talked to them, but you've not tried to sell them on anything. You're like, hey, here's this cool. Hey, we recorded this video that teaches you this. We made this guide or this checklist that helps you this. Planning software, whatever that thing is, because you know that they need it, and it'll help them whether they pick you or not. It'll help them make a better buying decision. So you provide that to them as the second layer instead of like, hey, I saw you were on our website. Don't forget to buy from us, right? And you ease in. Yeah. And then if they download, maybe what they have to do is give you their email to download the guide. Now you've got them in their email list, and then you can start the correspondence with them. So like once you build out 20 pieces of content in total, like your funnel's done.
Right.
That's it. And it can be a bunch of short form stuff. It's like two to four big resource pieces.
Yeah.
A bunch of videos that are variant to the demographics. And then throw them in and go to it.
That's interesting. Do you do this some of the stuff for your clients as well?
Yeah.
But what I mean by that is, do you record the videos on behalf of your clients? Like, are you the face
that's
for your clients?
No, that's tricky. People don't often want to be the face. We've got a lot of clients that have really great products that do not want to be on camera.
But what I mean by that is like, so are you on the camera for them?
No.
Because like I'm asking that because you know that I think the company's called Big Fish Videos or something like that, right?
Okay.
So they kind of got their start in producing startup videos or commercials, like, or trailers and teasers, right? Initially, they were very cheap, and all of the smaller startups had them. And you see the same guy, like this bearded guy that talks in like this really kind of like soft voice. He's kind of sleepy looking, and he's walking around interacting with the camera. But he's in like every startup teaser video.
Yeah.
Because he's like the founder of this company, right? And it's wild. It's like, okay, so you see him in this video, you know that they use the company, but you also know that at this point now they have the funds to produce this video, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You can. Like I think something coming from the founder or the person you're actually going to deal with is way more authentic.
Of course, yeah.
And I've got a buddy that has a company that they create short social media commercials, like 15 to 20 second videos.
Okay.
Where you go in, they give you a bunch of scripts. You basically buy like 15 at a time, and you can use them throughout the year. But they'll do a shoot in 1 or 2 days with like a bunch of stand-up comedians and improv actors and stuff with different settings, and they film it in 2 days. But they give you a whole bunch of different creative for basically the entire year's worth.
That's pretty cool.
And they use actors that way, and they do like a lot of those like interstitial video ads or like ads for like phone games and stuff. They make a lot of those. So that's a cool concept, similar idea, but they try and like pick people that fit with the casting and what they're trying to accomplish in the message.
Yeah.
But my thing is, like I said, at the end of the day, having a conversation with the person who is the brand is going to be more of an authentic thing. When it's you speaking about, I created this company because of this, or we make products for companies because we saw this, and like here's my experience with this customer, then they're like, oh, like you're a human that is selling something in your business,
right? And
it'll just resonate more.
That makes sense. I mean, that's true.
And you're good looking. You can get on camera.
I don't know. I gotta, like a better side and everything. I'm happy I'm on this side,
No, it took, actually, we have a piece of content on YouTube. I don't know if it's been published, but we tried to record that promo, for the content calendar. And I literally just had a DSLR that was filming the phone, that was filming us.
Yeah.
And like, it took us like 19 minutes to record 4 10-second clips.
Oh yeah.
Just like da 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 da. Oh shit, missed that. And then for me, I don't go off a script, and I forget what I say quickly. So like I said one, and I was like, oh boy, that's really good. I got to use the same one as a swipe up instead of click now.
Oh, okay.
And I like couldn't remember for the life of me what I said. I just made up a new one. But you can like honestly within half an hour, just talking over and over again, taking
Your
sets.
cat is staring at me
Oh,
very
yeah,
intensely.
She's gonna try and jump.
There
Hi,
you
Taco.
go.
Hi, Taco. Okay, that's enough. Come on, sweetheart. That's enough.
There you go.
Super professional, I will.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's something to think about, and the cost of entry is very low if you consider just like waiting for whatever traffic and whatever organic you're already getting from the directories, from here, from there, and just using these videos maybe as a remarketing. Because here's the thing, right? Even if you get 500 unique hits to your website a month, 200, 1,000, 10,000, it doesn't matter. If you're not communicating with them again, you're hoping that they're like, oh yeah, what was that website I was on? Maybe I'll go back and try and find it. Like,
true.
I'm gone because I'm going to look at 10 other companies besides you, especially with that high ticket.
That's true.
So to me, the ability to communicate over and over again, but not in the way that Amazon puts the product in front of you for months, even after you've bought it. And you're like, I don't need a fucking other doorknob. What the fuck? Right? So it's just that same product. You're like, it's everywhere. Why is it doing that?
It's wild that they do that though.
Why is it doing this? I don't know. It's just lazy.
It is.
Now, Amazon's huge and they don't have to give a shit.
But I mean, they probably waste money, a ton of money on these kind of ads, right?
Yeah.
So
no, they spend
it's crazy.
Tens of thousands of dollars an hour.
Yeah.
It's fucking ludicrous how much they spend. But for you guys, like, you can take that existing traffic and say, hey, here's my 3 pieces of really great content that we made.
Yeah.
And then just sequence it. Like, now this person gets this. And then if they took an action, now they'll get this one. Or maybe you can get them to join your email list. But you don't have to spend a lot. You don't have to make a lot. That's that distribution thing, right?
Right.
So if those go into the funnel of people that have been on the website, and that's part of your distribution. And then you're re-engaging. They're seeing your face, especially with that video of you,
right? Where
it's like, oh, that guy. And then when they meet you, they feel like they know you more. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, I guess it makes sense, at least for smaller businesses, because there's a select group of people that kind of are client facing initially, right?
Right.
I think it'd be interesting if you can, if you grow out your sales team and you have like 10 different faces that someone might interact with. It could be a little bit different, but maybe it's something that you can automate somehow, right?
No, but I think it could be like, hey, I'm the founder.
Right, yeah.
Right? Definitely. And then, as you get too big and too fancy, you may not take every meeting.
Yeah.
But like for the next 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're probably going to be in the mix of that. So, and even if not, like I think, if you're on the website somewhere and people are going to see or come across you. So it's like, hey, they contact us? Oh yeah, now you're going to talk to Jim or you're going to talk to whoever. They're not going to care. It's just having a friendly face that they've interacted with and they can feel like a connection with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question because you mentioned something much earlier on. I was waiting for you to. I was still engaged.
Waiting for me to shut up. Got it. No, I get that a lot.
I was still engaged, but so you mentioned this is out of a little bit out of curiosity, right? Only because we don't buy any ads. Like, how does an interstitial is when it happens, like commercial kind of thing, right? Like,
it's like when you're in a game and then it's
in
between turns, it puts those ads up. Yeah.
All right. So just refresh. I used to know these terms, but if you could refresh my memory. Yeah. So before video plays is a pre-roll.
Pre-roll.
And then in the middle of it is.
Depending on the platform, they call it different things.
Okay, so like on YouTube.
Yeah, mid-roll or interstitial if it's in an app.
Right.
Yeah.
Like. I don't know if you've collected any analytics around this, but like how does a pre-roll do compared to like something in the middle? Because I feel like pre-roll, I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, I want to skip this, right? Like sometimes when I see the ad immediately, I'm like, I close the video. Like it bugs me sometimes, right?
Yeah, and the answer is interrupting people from doing shit is never good.
Yeah.
I get the most frustrated, and I've got some consensus on this. There's no like scientific. I have a lot of conversations with people.
Yeah.
And so the videos that cut up in the middle of your Facebook, and then it's like your ad. You can see the ad penning. Like, you motherfucker. So that and the ones in the middle of the YouTube are going to be, I think, are worse.
Yeah.
Because they have to be 4 to 6 seconds, and they have to be funny or engaging in some like It's like you have to put a Vine in.
Right. That's true.
That's hard, man.
It is.
But I would say that like with pre-roll, especially. Pre-roll to cold audience, I've never interacted, I'm just going to target it, is trickier.
Right.
Unless you do it by like I Googled this thing and then you put an ad up because you can put your YouTube ad up based on the Google search, and then you're like, hey, you looking for this? And you're like, how the fuck did you know that? So you can do that. But I would say from the remarketing standpoint, I would do social media feeds.
Right. Okay.
And I would do YouTube pre-roll. I would do a little bit of Google display. But remarketing. Like I would never use banner ads as like my first point of contact.
Okay.
Because they're a disaster.
So when do you think banner ads are effective at all? If
Remarketing.
at all? Okay. Only for remarketing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not for like the whole like, hey, here is our brand. Like, you know.
No.
Not for brand familiarity or any of that kind of stuff.
A little bit, but only after they've interacted with the brand.
Okay.
Only remarketing.
Okay.
I would never use them as like the lead into a sale.
Yeah.
It's just such a waste.
Well, you wouldn't expect it to lead into a sale. You would expect it to be like, oh, I've seen Quantum Up and I've heard of them from somewhere before, right?
Yeah, but the problem is whether you do it through like a media buying agency or you buy Google placements, their version of like, hey, we're going to target the right people is a fucking joke. So you're going to buy inventory and pay cost per, CPM, you're going to cost per every 1,000 in stuff that's completely meaningless forever.
Right.
Whereas remarketing, I've had a touch point and now I'm doing it, but like there's no product that exists for banner ads that are targeted enough for it to be worth your money ever.
Okay.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of companies sell as a primary product.
Yeah.
And it's a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
Those companies will go out of business as soon as people figure out how shitty that inventory is. Right? Paying $15 to $20 for a premium or $40 for a premium placement for per 1,000 views with like 0.0007 click-through rate. At some point it's going to get old because you're paying for that CPM anyway. Right. How do you know that it's targeting my audience?
That's true.
There's never a way to know that.
Yeah.
So they're making really open-ended guesses.
Yeah.
Programmatically picking who the people are, but like it's so wide and their ability to target is so finite and so small that you'll never get your money's worth.
So then to that point, right, I guess like, I don't know if this is relevant to fraud or if fraud is associated with any of this stuff. Like how do you have to deal with fraud at all, or like, and how do you deal with it if so?
Yeah, I mean, we use some tools that help when we're doing paid ads to dictate and to determine if it's fraudulent, and then how to get the money back for it. Because you can apply to the platforms, Facebook and Google and all that, saying like, hey, I think these clicks were robots, or I think these clicks were bullshit. I'd like to apply to get my money back. And they'll review it and they'll pay you back. So there's tools that you can do to automate that. Like ClickCease is one that we use, ClickCease. Okay. So it sets up on your website and it's like, ooh, yeah, we don't feel like these clicks were real. Yeah. They submit them to Google and then Google's like, yeah, okay, 30% of those are legit, 70% were bullshit. Here's your money back. So there are things that you can put in place.
It's wild because I used to work in ad tech for one point in my life, right? And the stuff that you're exposed to, it's like there's a ton of fraud. Like fraud is rampant, right? It's like there were reports being put out, like white papers being put out by agencies or by various groups saying like 50% of all clicks are fraud, like even 70% of all clicks are fraud. It's like, it's wild if that is even the case, and it's like to see it on it's weird to see it, or if you would see it on a popular social media platform, because what is the incentive there for there to be fraud on those platforms, unless the platforms themselves are committing fraud, which, right?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
All I know is the methods that I use are just not buying any media programmatic ever. Okay. And I get my clients great results. I would just stay away. Yeah. Because it's so the industry is such bullshit in terms of viewability. It's like there's viewability standards that so the picture's a 320 by 320. Yeah. And it's cool. If you saw the pixels on the bottom line of this for 0.001 seconds, then it's an impression. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then there's the issue of people double dipping with traffic, the redirects, those things where you click into something and you have to click page by page and you're like, I got this many page views, and you're like, no, it was one article. You made people click for each fucking image. That's true. It's such a load of shit. Yeah. There's so much fraud and so much
banner ads though, right?
Yeah. But that's all programmatic is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know.
That's true. Okay.
But I would say when you're buying social media ads, spend super conservatively. Yeah. And spend on an ask here and there, but getting content marketing in the hands of people that would buy from you.
Okay. Yeah.
That's where I'd spend almost all of it.
Makes
Because
sense.
if you've got a couple of really cool blog pieces and you know you can hit Jim, that's the decision maker at this company, and all the decision makers just like him across North America,
Yeah.
why would I just be like, hey, do you want to buy this thing? No, I never want to buy a thing. No, whatever. As a business owner, you never want to spend money.
Of course.
I never want to spend money.
Yeah.
And when I go to spend money, the more expensive it is, the bigger the headache is, the more the integration is going to take. Like, I don't want to do it at all. So we get cold calls from everyone under the sun. Hey, this CRM will change your life. And hey, this does all these functions. I'm like, yeah, right now I use 5 tools to do that.
Yeah.
But honestly, the process that it would take for my team to then understand how this all works and to make sure everything's set up and all the tracking and all the links that are going to go away just from switching, like I won't do it.
Right.
It's a nightmare. So you got to understand what that pain point is from the decision maker standpoint and then speak to that. So it's like, hey, we'll take you from your old system and we'll completely put you in place in this new one. Like, then I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But until then, like, oh, it's got this feature and that feature. I'm like, fuck it. I'll just ignore. I just won't have that data.
Yeah.
So sorry. I'd rather not have that data than go through 6-month transition for something that has 2 more features in my existing whatever I have.
So, so you have an idea in all of your processes and all the tools that you use, because you use a ton of tools, right?
Yeah.
And you're exposed to a ton of tools, because you check Product Hunt regularly. You mentioned, right? It's a great place to find like the newest and coolest apps, or even like revamped sites and things like that.
Yeah, and AppSumo is another one we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, yeah, AppSumo as well. So, do you not see like a gap sometimes? Like, oh, I wish there was like this part or this specific feature or this part was automated
every day.
You know what I mean? So like
every day.
It's interesting. I asked that because I'm a developer initially when we were tackling the sales side, is that we just built out a ton of like hack together tools to help automate as much as possible, right? We had tools that we automated a lot of LinkedIn stuff, a lot of like even like some email stuff. Like we're building some like some kind of like marketing tool or email marketing tool at the moment, right? Because we found is using all the tools that were out there right now, there were gaps in each one, right? But it's not just the feature gap. It's like the value and like the way that the platform is, right? And so that's where we're building a custom built. It's kind of wild to do that, but we're building a custom built email marketing platform that'll suit our needs. Yeah,
But to be honest, and I've talked to a lot of founders of software companies.
Yeah.
All of these softwares exist because they were like, oh yeah, I used XXX.
You're right.
And they didn't work, so I built
true.
this one.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. They built it for their need.
Right,
and then they're like, oh cool, well we'll build it out wide enough now with this and this and this feature that will help everybody else. Yeah. But like at its core, it started with this specific problem. Yeah. And if another business doesn't have that specific problem exactly, it's always going to be pieces that are missing.
You're right. No, you're right.
Right.
Because there were like certain features that were missing. Like for example, I think a lot of email marketing or email automation tools don't include attachments, because I think attachments are like a warning sign of like, hey, like this is not like warning, right? Yeah. So but at the same time, we're like, well, if it's like really, really localized and, we already know these people, we've been communicating with them, then maybe we want to add some attachments, right? And like, that was just one feature. I forget. There was a ton of other things that we thought were missing, that scheduling and like all the different types of scheduling, all the different types of buffering, like having a platform versus Chrome extension and like a list of stuff, right? Yeah. But it's specific to our needs.
Right. So. And here's what's going to happen is that you're going to build it and you're like, oh man, this is the one. And then you're going to sell it to all the companies that are just like you and they're going to love it. Yeah. And then you're going to be like, shit, we're going to take this, we're going to take over the world of CRM email marketing. Right. And you're going to put it out to the network. Yeah. And then you're going to be like everybody else. You're going to be like, we were 95% for a bunch, but a 5% gap, just like that guy was a 5% gap because he filled his need, because that guy filled his need. It's always the way that software works. There's nothing that exists that's like, that's the one.
Right. But that's why there are so many tools out there, right? And that's why so many of these tools just sometimes do one very one like specific particular thing, right?
Yeah.
And,
I find it really important to do a full demo with whatever the company is, if they can, and even if they don't usually offer it, I usually call the founder. I'm like, yo, take me through this.
Yeah.
And usually, if it's small enough, they will.
Yeah.
But I try and get directly in touch with the owner or the president of the company every time I'm going to buy something. Chat with them, see what they're trying to do with it, see where they're going with it. That's the kind of way I kind of vet it before I dive in.
I guess you're investing in the platform basically, right? You're trying to build up your company,
and you're changing a workflow in your business.
Yeah.
That how many people touch it.
That's true.
And how many people have to change what they do. And then in the project management software, like, I might have 30 tasks assigned to putting something through MailChimp or ActiveCampaign.
Yeah.
Well, if we're switching from that and it doesn't work the exact same way, my whole workflow is fucked.
Yeah.
And then people have to relearn it and then blah, blah, blah.
That's true.
It's a heavy lift, right? So yeah, software is tricky like that. But we use so much. Just based on whatever the need is at that moment, and then we use Zapier to integrate and send pings here and there. But shit gets lost in the shuffle sometimes.
Yeah.
The API expires, and then you're like, shit, this isn't doing that thing anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So I try and keep it to as little pieces of technology as possible. So the fewer amount of things that we can have break, the better. So for example, on my website, I never use the default forms of my website. I use the form that I created from my email marketing software and I embed it in there. I don't care if it doesn't look that great. I mean, it looks fine, but you know what I mean? It's not like from a developer standpoint, it's not the perfect Like I don't give a fuck. As a marketer, it's like I know when that goes through,
job done, basically.
It's going to go into my sequence that I built in my ActiveCampaign.
Yeah.
It's going to ping me via text being like, this thing happened, go pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Squarespace's form is going to work. I don't know if Contact Form 7 is going to just not send notifications to Gmail anymore. It happens all the time. I don't fucking trust it.
You know what? You know how much of our stack is like custom built?
Yeah.
Like relevant to this point, right? So we have like we built like some alpha version of this email marketing tool that's still running in production to this day, just to handle the emails from our site.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all it does. It's like it gets sent over to this alpha drip email marketing platform, and it just fires off our emails. And at one point, the system went down, right? For whatever reason that it was down for like a couple of days.
Yeah.
And like we were getting pings on Slack saying, okay, yeah, this person reached out, but then we were like, where the hell are the emails, right?
Yeah.
But because we're running our own stack, it's like we didn't realize that it was down. We're not checking it very often.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've had it, man. I've lost leads a bunch
Yeah.
before. You never know what's going to happen. It's part of it's the pain point.
Yeah.
You try and deal with it, but then you try and go to a product like a HubSpot or a SharpSpring.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool, but then it has this huge gap, and then it's $800 a month, and you're like,
yeah,
no, I'll just pay attention for now. I don't know.
That's true.
Or it just doesn't have the functionality in the same way these two tools make your life so much easier. Well, these tools on this have it, but it's not quite the right thing. It doesn't quite do what I need it to do. And then that ruined process ruins the whole thing for me. Okay. So it's tricky. One other thing, I know we've been going for a bit, and it's been great. I know you got to take off soon.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay.
But
it's all the time right now.
When you are sending that first email sequence out, have you ever thought about, so there's tools that embed it right into the email. Have you ever thought about making your first correspondence a video?
No. Yeah, no. Right? Definitely not. I mean, like video was never even a thought that we would include in any of our marketing material, right? Because first of all, we don't even have the space. We don't even have like these lights, like this kind of setup, right? I mean, iPhones shoot some great video these days, but you know, we just don't have the gear for that, right? So it's not even a thought. Yeah,
it might be a cool idea, and it's that same like personal touch point where they've like filled out a form, and then when you email them, that's fine because you're responding to their email. But imagine from the customer experience side, the first thing they get is like, hey, it's Eric. Like, thank you so much for showing interest in our company. Like, here's a couple things about us. Here's some clients that we've done some great work for. I know buying software is really that remarketing video. But obviously tailored a little bit more to the fact that it's going through an email.
True.
But having that be the first touch point,
I
think it'll make a big difference.
We'll try it out.
Yeah, and there are tools that can make the video small enough that it embeds right into the thing.
Okay.
So they can like play it right from there. They don't have to go off to YouTube.
Something like that. Okay.
No, it's it like kind of embeds it almost.
Okay. Can you do that? Okay. Well,
there are tools.
We'll look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would do well from just like the building that rapport from the beginning.
All right.
That was just a random thought.
No,
I
cool,
like it.
cool.
I was thinking of drip. I'm like, ooh. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I do have to take off in a
Yeah.
little bit, but I guess so. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming, man. I know we've spoken a couple times in the past, and it's been fun. We had lunch. I don't even know what it was about.
Three Brewers.
Oh, when you were doing biz dev,
Right.
You
Exactly.
hit me up on LinkedIn.
Right. That's how it happened.
Love it. So but thanks for coming by. Yeah, maybe we can do another one like down the line.
Yeah.
I'm kind of screwing around with the idea of like 6 months later or whatever. There's like hey, what have you guys tested? What did I say that worked? What
Right.
didn't
Okay.
work?
That's not bad.
Yeah, just to see where you are.
Yeah.
Gives me more content. So
Uh-huh.
from a greedy standpoint.
It's all good. Definitely. We're gonna have you back on our show
Absolutely,
too.
man.
So
Thanks a lot.
all right, man.